Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting live here at the 92Y Tribeca here in New York City. Tonight I'm going to introduce you to a talent that's getting ready to set the jazz world on fire. Alto saxophonist Tim Green is performing selections off his current CD, Songs from This Season, on the True Melody music label, which is his personal imprint. In fact, one of the things that Tim is getting ready to do musically is he's bringing both the straight-ahead jazz tradition of jazz as well as American gospel music to the forefront through his music. Tonight we're going to sit down and talk about the latest CD. We're going to talk about his origins growing up in Baltimore, Maryland. Also, we're going to talk about the importance of him releasing his own project on his own record label. This is your season, isn't it?
Yeah, it's my season. It sure is.
Congratulations on this brand new CD. And, you know, you're doing some things on this CD that a handful of musicians are doing. Cyrus Chestnut, Harold Rayford, Ben Tankard. You have fused both God's music with the spirit of jazz.
Absolutely. That's just, you know, being raised in the church, growing up in it, it's just inside of me. And when I write music, you know, being around so many great jazz musicians and also listen to a lot of great gospel music, that's just what kind of comes out of my heart. And that's kind of how the CD came about, with those two different influences.
Now, I understand this is your second CD, but This is the first on your own imprint.
Yeah, it's my second CD. I came up with a CD entitled Divine Inspiration. That was in 2005. And this one, right now, 2013, is pretty much my debut record with a lot of straight ahead on it, with, you know, fully produced tracks and things of that sort on it. So this is pretty much the one right here.
Tell me about the concept of this record, because in addition to, you know, doing a lot of, you're all over the place on this CD, which is a very good thing. Yeah. But you have a heck of a cast on this CD.
Yeah, so many great musicians on the CD. Orrin Evans is on the CD, Warren Wolf, Gilad Hekselman, Alan Johnson, Chris Fun, Roman Collin. Just incredible. I mean, just so many amazing musicians on this record. And I mean, I was really honored to have all these musicians on the CD. I just called them up, all of them good friends of mine. And I said, you know, look, I'm just about to do the CD. I'm going to do it on my own. You guys down? Everybody said, yep, I'm down. And they were there when I called them. So that was really, really a blessing.
You know, you go hard on Wayne Shorter's Pinocchio on this album.
Yeah, I mean, Wayne Shorter is one of my favorite musicians, my favorite composers. And I'd always been playing that song Pinocchio in New York. So I decided to put it on the CD just as a trio, a trio track, just to go ahead and play. I said, okay. It was the last track recorded in the studio. And me, Chris, and Rodney, we just went in there and said, okay, let's just play. You know, we'd been in there playing and rehearsing music. So we said, man, let's just go in here and just really just go for it and just, you know, kind of just play out a little bit. So it came out that way, too.
You know, your saxophone skills, I mean, you really kind of go back to the experimental hard bop. Yeah. I mean, you're going really hard on this, like I said earlier. And I noticed that, you know, I've seen you play with a lot of people over the years. And tell me about where you get the inspiration to play like you play, because, I mean, there's just so much fire, but you're just a humble brother sitting next to you.
Well, you know, there's so many alto saxophone players, especially being from Baltimore. You have Antonio Hart, Gary Bartz, Mark Gross, Arnold Sterling, so many great alto saxophone players from Baltimore. And for the most part, when I was going to school there, my father would take me to these clubs, well, one club in particular called the Sportsman's Lounge in Baltimore, where they had a jam session. And the goal that you were doing a good job was if you were playing soulful and if you were playing from your heart. So you couldn't get up there and really kind of noodle around. You know, you might play a few off notes and stuff like that, but as long as you were playing from your heart, that's what mattered the most. So I guess growing up, you know, in Baltimore in high school, really learning that kind of started to translate my playing. So, you know, every time I play, I try to just kind of reach for something for the most part. So, yeah.
You know, you grew up in the church, and like myself, and you know, the church I used to belong to in Detroit used to have a jazz vespers program, and I'm understanding too, you know, that now it's okay now for people to be multicultural when it comes to bringing the music, and I think gospel is so very important to the idiom of jazz as well as blues. Sure. Tell me how and why you decided to record such very personal and intimate spirituals in your vein.
Sure. Well, you know, when I was at the Thelonious Monk Institute, I studied with Terrence Blanchard. We had a chance to go on the road and play somewhere Herbie Hancock and Wayne Shorter. And they really, you know, instilled in us that, you know, art and music should reflect life, you know. So it's not just necessarily about the notes and things of that sort, but I think I learned from Terrence and Wayne Shorter and Herbie that, you know, everything you should be playing should be about some type of story. It should be something that kind of connects with your heart for the most part, because it's not necessarily about what you're playing, it's about what you're saying for the most part. So I decided to just kind of put, you know, every single last experience that I can think of that had a song to it, you know, down and write about it. And it ended up coming out like that. And every song had a different spirit or a different, you know, musical concept to it for the most part. And I just wanted to kind of, you know, emote that, you know, those titles and that story that is in that song when I played. So it seems like that's kind of coming across a little bit.
You know, I look at guys like Cyrus Chestnut and Kirk Whalum. Oh yeah, Kirk Whalum. Ramsey Lewis has even done it throughout his career. It's like gospel is so connected to jazz music.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, I just did a concert in Baltimore with Darren Atwater, great composer of Soulful Symphony, and we set up right in the pulpit at Douglas Memorial Church. And it was such an incredible experience. Just the sound of the pulpit being right there. We had a grand piano there. And it just seemed like that was a place where, you know, jazz is, you know, supposed to be, including the clubs and the halls too, but bringing it right there in the middle of the pulpit, it seems there'd be something special about that. So I really love doing that. And I'm going to be doing some more concerts at churches, and, you know, we're going to see how that goes. But that's something I want to kind of capitalize on more for sure.
You know, it's funny because, you know, when you look at groups like the Soul Stirrers and people like Sister Rosetta Tharpe and Clara Ward, there was a very jazzy and soulful connection to what they were doing. Yeah,
I'm telling you, I just did a recording with Andre Crouch about 2 years ago with horn section, Mo Horns. And I had a chance to look at Andre Crouch, and he played all his hit songs. And the way he played piano was like a jazz guy. You know, his voicings and, you know, the way he played melodies and just the way he would voice. It wasn't like some of the modern gospel you hear now. It was more towards the Hank Jones and more towards the, you know, real bebop style of playing in a way, the way his voicings were. So, you know, that's definitely where, you know, a lot of stuff, you know, spilled from is with his church for sure. And you can hear it in a lot of that old school music, you know.
Baltimore, Maryland is your home, still is home. And tell me about how you got exposed to jazz, and tell me about your experience, how you decided that you wanted to play the alto saxophone.
Well, my father is a singer. My brother is a trumpet player. And, you know, it was music in the house, and I got exposed to music pretty much through my father and my brother for the most part. And I went to a band camp in middle school, and I wanted to play the drums and my band instructor, Miss McLeod, gave me a saxophone. So at that point, I just started playing it because, you know, my brother was playing music, and my father was just listening to a whole bunch of music around the house. And he bought one CD. It was a GRP All-Star Big Band CD. You know, and as a high school student or middle school student, you need something that you can grab to that's like really exciting. You know, you just get kind of excited about those type of things. And he bought that CD, and it was Arturo Sandoval's solo on I Remember Clifford. It was just so, you know, it was something like I've never heard before. So it just grabbed me and it gave me this feeling of inspiration. And ever since then, I've been trying to kind of chase that same goosebump feeling, you know. So yeah, that's kind of where it all stemmed from.
How did you know that you wanted to play the alto saxophone?
I guess I'm not sure. That's an interesting question. I've never been asked that because it's just always kind of been a part of me for the most part. When I was in high school, I was studying with Dr. Chris Ford, who Antonio Mark studied with, and David Stambler. He just started exposing me to so much music. I mean, Charlie Parker and classical music and French music, and I was checking out a lot of concertos and etudes, and, you know, all of a sudden I just started staying with it, and next thing you know, it just started becoming a part of my voice, and, you know, it just kind of just flowed into it. It was just kind of a natural thing, you know, so kind of flowed in that way. That's an interesting question. Never thought about that before.
Tim Green, what does jazz music mean to you?
Jazz means to me, it just means expression. I think it's just a label for the most part that people just, you know, give the music. But it's all about expression. You know, when I think about jazz, I think about expression. I think about, you know, me being able to just communicate with people in the audience, with me being able to have this form of music where I can just write and just, you know, really express myself through it. So that's what jazz means to me. Yep.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report, reporting live here at the 92Y Tribeca here in New York City. I'd like to personally thank Mr. Tim Green for his time, as well as the staff and management here at the 92Y Tribeca, as well as Josh Jackson and the Checkout WBGO in Newark, New Jersey, for their time and their hospitality as well. As always, please visit my website, www.thepacereport.com, for my weekly column as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Till next time, peace.